Live from the Student Union on campus, this is Gold Mine Live. Your weekly all-access pass inside Charlotte Athletics is brought to you by Ortho Carolina. Proud to present the 2018 Charlotte 49ers football season. Bojangles, it's bow time. Harris Teeter, where 49ers fans shop for groceries. University Eye Associates. Excellence is eye care. And by Wells Fargo. Charlotte 49er fans, show your pride with a customized Wells Fargo debit card. Stop by your nearest Wells Fargo or visit Wells Fargo Car Design Studio online to learn more. Now, here's your host, the voice of the 49ers, Matt Swearad.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gold Mine Live here today at the Student Union. Talking Niner basketball this week, taking a week off for football because of the bye week this week. Niners football not back in action until a week from this coming Saturday. It'll be homecoming, and that's against WKU 2 Saturdays from now. But we get the time today, a full hour to talk Niner basketball with Ron Sanchez and Cara Consuegra. The first 30 minutes going to the men's team. And Coach Sanchez, great to see you on this Monday. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to kind of start talking basketball. I've been a football fan for a few weeks since we've been here. Encourage all of you to continue to support our football team. Guys are playing hard and doing what they're supposed to do, but I think my mindset is starting to definitely shift towards basketball since we started our official practices.
You know, it's been wild because it's been 6.5 months since you've been named the head coach of the Niners, the 11th head coach in Niner history. Talk about what it's been like for you so far in this, 6.5 months, because there's a lot been going on, but not a lot of time.
No, exactly. And for me, this is a dream come true. I'm so thankful that this institution has given me an opportunity to become, a head coach. And, it's been a big learning curve so far. People always joke around about those 12 inches, moving from one seat to the other, how overwhelming it can be. And, when you get into this situation, it definitely can overwhelm you. You got to move your family. You got to get the ball rolling. You got to start recruiting. You got to hire staff. You got to build relationships on campus with all the people that are going to assist you with recruits, and you got to get to know some of the students around. You got to show your face, and a lot of different things kind of take up your time. So for me, this is a dream come true, and I'm trying to enjoy every day. As opposed to kind of finding the negative. I think you can choose what scope you want to look at any circumstance through, and for me, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. So, I get excited every morning when I wake up, and I'm thrilled, to put on my green and walk into my office.
I know you've done a lot of interviews since you got the job, and, folks have got the chance to know you, but a lot of folks on campus, a lot of the students now here in Rotunda maybe don't know the backstory, but you spent a lot of your youth in the Bronx, New York. You played your college basketball days in upstate New York, and you got involved first in coaching at the Division II and III level, but you got that great opportunity at Indiana as a volunteer. Spent a couple of years over there in Indiana. What was that like?
Oh, it was great. In transparency, my wife is an IU grad, and at the moment, when I took the position, she was a student there. So as much as it was the Indiana basketball that attracted me to IU, it was more so my beautiful wife. So I'm just gonna put that out there. It was a great opportunity for me. When Mike Davis and John Treelor were coaching at the time at IU, and they allowed me to walk into Assembly Hall, which, in my opinion, is a dream for many, many young coaches, and to be able to watch and learn, experience a Final Four and a national championship run as we lost to Maryland in the national championship game, one season. For me, it was, again, just a tremendous opportunity. I cannot thank those guys enough.
Niner fans remember, too, that great when the Niners had an Assembly Hall with the half-court heave from Brandon Plavic in the final seconds. That was one of our signature wins during the Lemeyer Goldwire days.
I was there.
You were there that night, and that was a crazy. There was about a 5-minute period. Remember that, between the game being over and the officials waving that shot off initially, and then going to the monitor. What was that like on the other bench?
I'm going to say that the person who was operating the clock, if I remember correctly, was the persona non grata for the rest of his time at IU.
That was some kind of finish. And I remember there was a big snowstorm that night. It was like 18 inches of snow outside. And Lemeyer Goldwire, who was from Florida, he had never seen snow. And after the win, he was out there making snow angels in the parking lot. That was fun.
Yeah, well, no, we were
Not
not.
for
We
you.
were not making snow angels. I don't even remember what happened in the locker room afterwards. But anyway, Coach, did a great job. Obviously, it was a last-second a win, but it was a respectable win, and that's what I'm hoping to bring back here. We can go and kind of provide these type of experiences and memories for the fans here in Niner Nation.
And the next stop for you was over to Washington State with the Bennetts and going to Pullman, Washington. Of course, you later went to Virginia with Tony. But talk about the relationship with the Bennetts and what that has kind of meant for you. And it's been the backbone of your coaching philosophy since you joined that program.
No, definitely. And again, my wife actually played for Kathy Bennett at Indiana, who is Tony's sister, and she was the head coach at IU at the time. So that's kind of how I met the family. Coach Dick Bennett was retired at the time, and he would come in and hang out with Kathy, and I would just harass him, whenever he was there, asking him, all kinds of defensive questions and offensive questions. Not often do you get to sit down with the Hall of Fame coach, and for me that was a great opportunity as a young coach, and developed a genuine relationship with those guys, and from there it carried over to Washington State, and I do believe that it was Tony's sister, Kathy, who was my agent to Dick, so I can get that job. So was thrilled to be a part of the basketball family.
And you had some success out there, of course, and actually had an NCAA tournament appearance where you played in the Charlotte Coliseum, coming back this part of the country. Klay Thompson, involved in recruiting Klay, now part of that great Golden State Warriors team. That must have been a great first get for you guys. That was one of the big ones, wasn't it, at Washington State?
Honestly, we went to the Sweet 16 the year before Klay came. We lost here to Carolina. Nothing like playing Chapel Hill in Carolina in the Sweet 16. They had a phenomenal team, but we also had a really good team. We had a kid named Aaron Baines, who was an Australian, Kyle Weaver, who ended up being drafted, Derek Lowe, Taylor Rochester, a handful of other guys that were really good players for us. Not highly recruited guys, but guys that were good enough, and obviously helped build Washington State. Klay came after, so he was able to kind of come into a full arena. When we first took the job, it was kind of somber when you would walk into the gym. You had 3,000 or 4,000 fans in a 12,000 seat arena. It was kind of quiet, but he came in to something different. I did not know that Klay was going to be the all-star that he is today, but he was gifted in high school. You could tell the way he could shoot at his size and athleticism. I mean, his dad was the #1 pick in the NBA draft in the '70s, so there was a genetic makeup there that you can count on. And his mom was a phenomenal athlete as well. So, but yeah, Klay has been surprising to see, what an athlete he's become.
And then you go from there to Virginia with Tony and all the success you guys have, a #1 team in the country, 31 wins. So that, just a great run there to get to the position where now you're a head coach, and you take the job at Charlotte. What are some of the things that you mentioned, moving those 12 inches over in the seat? What are some of the things that, when you first got this job that you had to really jump into, but your experiences with those two other stops really helped you with?
For me, I do believe that player relationship is genuinely important. So the first thing I wanted to do was get in the gym with the guys and just sweat. Nothing drastic, but just get to know them as players. I didn't recruit any of these guys before I got here, so I didn't know their games. I wasn't going to come in with preconceived notions about their abilities or what they could do or what they could not do. I just wanted to experience it and then see it and then take that experience, watch film, and then try to come up with some form of an idea of who they were as athletes. And then, getting to know them as people, so then we can, kind of counteract the two, our relationship on the court, and then let's have a relationship off the floor. So for me, it was just honestly just building relationships. And from day one thing that I told them that we were going to have to do if we wanted to be competitive was to defend. So from day one, we kind of started working on our defensive principles and philosophies and just trying to get them to understand why we do what we do and the reasons, kind of how we do it.
Well, you talk about, a three-pronged approach: value the basketball, follow your shots, and solid defensive possessions. Let's talk about that when we come back after taking a break right now. Ron Sanchez, our special guest here today, as we have a basketball show. Coach Sanchez, the first 30 minutes. Coach Consuegra coming up in the last 30 minutes of the show here today. This is Gold Mine Live on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
The Carolinas are family, which is why all of us at Ford Motor Company are committed to helping our family of dealers, customers, all Carolinians, restore their lives. If you've been affected by Hurricane Florence, we're offering you the same pricing as our Ford family of employees. Plus, you won't need to make any payments until next year. Ford family of employee pricing, plus no payments until 2019, helping to get our Carolina families on the road to recovery.
And welcome back to Gold Mine Live, talking basketball this week. Our head men's basketball coach, Ron Sanchez, is our guest for the first half hour. Coach Consuegra coming up in the second half hour. And, Coach, went to break talking about, the three things you really want to emphasize with the team this year and part of the values you have as a head coach. And that's, one, value the basketball. Two, you want to follow your shots. And three, defensive possessions being awfully big. This philosophy, it all starts, trying to, if they don't score, you can't lose, right? So you're going to try to do the best you can on the defensive side of the ball, and that kind of carries over the offensive side.
I wouldn't say you can't lose. It's just,
We'll play to a 0-0 tie.
Things kind of, they lean on your favor a little bit. But yeah, playing defense is really important. I don't know if you can be competitive if you don't defend and defend well. And I'm not saying that it's something that arrives quickly, but it is something that if you value it and you teach it and you emphasize it, eventually it does become kind of part of your personality on the floor, and you do become competitive that way.
Playing good defense, what is that? I mean, playing hard is certainly great, but playing good defense is different than playing hard.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, you have to have smart players. You got to be tough. And on top of that, you have to be continuous. It's not a one effort thing. It's multiple efforts, and the real challenge is not doing it once, but doing it multiple times in one possession, and then doing that every possession of the game defensively. So, to get that type of an approach, it takes a while. All of us, I think, as people, or if you played any sport, it's okay to go hard one time, but can you do that 3-4 times in a 30-second time span, and can you do that over a 70 possession game? That's truly the challenge, and it's hard to arrive there, but at least you know what the goal is.
Putting in that type of system, you did get a chance to work with some of the guys in the team during small periods during the first 6 months you were here, but now practice starting full time and you can go every day. Talk about implementing the system and what it takes to do that from scratch.
It's hard, Actually, one of my guys is walking here, just walking away. He didn't even look at me and smile because I got after him yesterday because he was screwing up his closeouts. But it's true, it's hard because it's not natural. It's not natural to play hard defensively. But I said it to the guys is this, you all want to grow as players. You want to be a better player, and everybody focuses on offense and dribbling and passing and shooting. A different area of your development really is becoming really good defensively. If you can be a really good defensive basketball player, and that can match your offensive skills, not you're a complete, But implementing it is hard. Getting guys to understand it is hard. Getting guys to be continuous, to anticipate. All that stuff is hard. But I think, like I said before, if you drill it and you emphasize it and you demand it, they'll give it to you. One thing I cannot say, I can't say as a negative thing is our guys have, from day one have given us great effort. Now we got to get that same type of effort with really good execution. We're not there yet.
So you got about 5.5 weeks to really get everything going before you have your first game. And how do you break down those 5 weeks as you kind of get closer to the season?
You can't overdo it because you can't take the next step until you get the first step. So for us, it's more of evaluating every practice, every workout, and then breaking the holistic part into individuals, because you might have 2 or 3 guys that get it, 2 that don't. So how do we get those guys to catch up without wasting time? So it's a lot of individual work, a lot of teamwork, encouraging communication and so on. But the goal is to be able to guard, like I said before, multiple possessions, and doing things continuously for a period of time. And, doing it once, doing it twice is not good enough. If it requires you to do it 10 times, then you have to get to the point where you're doing it 10 times. And that doesn't mean that the opposing team is not going to score, but is it a challenge possession? I mean, did they get an easy basket, or did we challenge them to take a difficult shot? And that in turn is the true goal of what we're trying to do.
Well, before we talk about some of the individual players that we'll see on the floor this season for the Niners, one of the things you also mentioned when you came here and became the head coach is kind of blending the past of Charlotte basketball with the present. And one of your hires as an assistant coach is Byron Dinkins, one of the all-time Niner greats. What's that been like? I know you've had the opportunity to not just work with Byron, but meet a lot of the former Niners, Eddie Baston being one that was back here, Curtis Withers, some others as well. What's that been like for you?
It's been great. Brian has honestly just built a natural bridge as soon as he arrived within the community. People know him. People from the city know him. So we started just, getting traffic through the office that normally we would not have. I know that much, and working with Brian, he's such a great basketball mind. He was a phenomenal player. He's a terrific human being. Being around him has been great for me. He's really encouraging to the players, but he's encouraging to me as well, because sometimes as a head coach you can kind of see the negative, and he'll come in and say, like, nah, coach, this is going really well, so let's watch this and let's talk about this. He's bridged the gap between the alumni, getting Eddie and Curtis Withers and some of those guys in there has been great. Whenever those guys come in, I love for them to talk to our players and share kind of their experience. From when they were here, where we are, they all are very encouraging when they come. I love having the alumni come by the gym.
The former Niner Perrier Henry had a really great camp with the Celtics. Looks like though he's going to go back and play overseas. Back to Brian Dinkins. He's a guy I've watched the last couple of years during the alumni games. He can still play.
Oh yeah, he can still play. He gets out there. We use Byron here and there, messing around. When we're shooting free throws to kind of tease the guys and who can beat coach in a free throw contest or something like that, just to kind of get them engaged. But he works out every day. He's in great shape. He makes the rest of us look bad because I watch him running on the treadmill and lifting weights, and I'm like, man, this is impressive. So he's fun to have around.
Let's take our break now, come back, talk about some of the individual guys that we'll be watching on the floor this year. Also the schedule. The first game is coming up on the 6th of November at home against Chattanooga at Halton Arena. Season tickets are available now. Go to charlotte49ers.com or call 704-687-4949. Back with more with Ron Sanchez in a moment here on Gold Mine Live on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
The Carolinas are family, which is why all of us at Ford Motor Company are committed to helping our family of dealers, customers, all Carolinians, restore their lives. If you've been affected by Hurricane Florence, we're offering you the same pricing as our Ford family of employees. Plus, you won't need to make any payments until next year. Ford family of employee pricing, plus no payments until 2019, helping to get our Carolina families on the road to recovery.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live. Matt Swarride with you with Ron Sanchez, the Niners head men's basketball coach in his first season. And as we get ready for the season, we're about 5 weeks out, the opener against Chattanooga. I know you were joking recently. We said, man, who put this schedule together? Because it's a challenging one, but you start off with three straight there, actually 4 straight at home before you go to Davidson. So at least you get your feet wet at home.
Listen, you're understating how challenging our schedule is going to be. But at the same time, I think again, like I said before, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. And to me, that there's no better way to know who you are as a team than to play against, great competition. So we will definitely find out who we are. If there are things that we need to improve on, we'll find out quickly, and we'll address those and just continue to grow and improve regardless of the outcome.
Well, you've got a chance, of course, to do our shows here in the Student Union. A lot of students around. It's one of the big things that I know you're big on getting the students back to Halton Arena, getting that place packed, and the kids wearing green.
No, definitely. I tell you, man, nothing bothers me more when I see guys walking around campus or girls walking around campus with, other school T-shirts. So I'm gonna challenge the students on our campus that when you see someone wearing a T-shirt that represents another institution, it's okay for you to let them know that that's not appropriate, you know. And if they need a Charlotte shirt, tell them to stop by my office, and I will hook them up with some Niners swag so they can represent us correctly. Okay.
There you go. Well, now as we got chance now to talk about some of the players coming back, we got to talk first about John Davis and John, when he is playing at the high level that he can play at, he's a guy that is as good as anybody in Conference USA.
Yeah, no, John's a talent, and he's been working really hard, particularly in the weight room through the spring and the summer to get in the best shape that he can be in so that he can have a great senior season. And, our goal is to make sure that we support him in what he's trying to do, but, his leadership is going to be important as well, not only his play, but how he elevates the play of others. One thing about, like you said, great players aren't just great on their own. Great players pick other players up, and others kind of elevate, to their talent level. And that's the one challenge that I got in front of John is, you can have a phenomenal season, but if you don't elevate the play of your teammates, then you're not really playing to your talent level.
I know you've probably seen him on tape a lot since you've got here, but what have you seen of the workouts live and maybe a little progression that he's made since the end of last season?
I think his shot is improving. I think John is. I think he can make some shots, but I'm trying to encourage him that to be more efficient. Is the one thing for him. So, taking shots that are easier for him. I don't to minimize contested shots and try to find more uncontested shots. I think that'll increase his percentages, and I think it'll make him a better player. I think he's a competitor internally, so I think he's going to give you all he's got on game day. But there's also a level of intelligence that kind of goes with that type of play.
Also being more of a force on the defensive side too, I'd imagine.
Well, he doesn't have a choice. He's going to have to guard. That's for everyone. I might step in there and play a little defense myself in my suit on game day if I have to. But as a group, we're all going to defend, and it will start with him as the starting point guard.
We've seen a mixture of man-to-man and zone in the last couple of years. A lot of that because we didn't have a lot either size or depth. Where do you want to start the season now? What's your philosophy going forward?
We're going to be a man-to-man defensive team, not thinking that we won't adjust if we have to, but that is our foundation. We're not going to, dismiss what we've worked on. It's gonna have to work. There's no second option. We have to be good defensively man-to-man.
Jalen Haslam's your biggest guy at 6'10" right now. I'm hearing that Big J has made some great strides since this summer, and he's playing maybe his best basketball in a Niners uniform.
Well, that's yet to be determined as we haven't played. I know he only played one season, and what he's in great shape. He did a really good job of taking care of his body. I don't know what his weight is. I think he's lost weight. I think he's moving better. I think he's healthier because of that. I think he'll be able to endure the pounding and the high level minutes that he's going to be required to play. But I'm still trying to get him to play without fouling. Big
That's
guys
the thing,
like that. He's so aggressive, and I love it because I don't have to turn him down. Like, hey, calm down a little. I just got to get him to play a little smarter, be more positioned. Use his feet, not his hands. Just be a great position defender, and I think his strength and his motor will take care of the rest.
Milo Supica, another returner, a freshman last season, 6'9". We saw some good things from Milos last year. How's he been so far?
Milos he's I think this is new for him. What I'm demanding of him to do is not something that I think anyone in his coaching history has demanded of him. But again, I think his effort is getting closer to where we need it to be. It's not there yet, but it's going to be something that's going to be demanded of him. So I'm sure he'll eventually get it.
You do suffer a blow with Luka Vasic, the ACL injury, a very unfortunate situation for him. He's out for the year, so a little bit thinner there. Talk about some of the new guys that we're going to see. And one, it was Cooper Robb, who's a guard, a guy that was a multi-sport high school star in Kentucky. One of those gritty kind of guys, just loves to play the game.
He is gritty, and every team that he played on in high school was successful: football, basketball, baseball. And he was a major contributor. So I'm hoping that, some of that translates to us here, including, in the locker room, to be honest with you. I don't know if you can have that much success and not be a great teammate, you know. So I'm excited that he's here and he's a part of it. But we are very young. You know, losing Luka is a big blow to us because he's the one guy that had some game experience. You know, right now you got your seniors and, you know, everybody else is pretty young except for Milos.
You know, when you look at and you're out there recruiting guys, you see a guy like Rob that plays in multiple sports. That's something you don't see a lot these days. A lot of specialization. Mm-hmm. When you see someone like that has had success in multiple sports, you kind of really want to go watch him more. It just kind of opens up. You know, what's this guy doing to make him so successful doing multiple things?
Yeah, and I mean, there's a positive and a negative. And one is, you know, that he knows how to compete, and you know his teams have had success. You know, the negative to that is that you know, he would play football for 4 months, you know, play basketball for 4 months, and then he played baseball for 5 months. So he never really specialized in one thing. So you know, this is also new to him, where now it's all basketball. You know, but he is a competitive kid. You know, we got to clean some things up in his game, like you know, the rest of the guys. But you know, I really enjoy coaching him. He's an enjoyable, you know, player to have around.
Well, you went up to upstate New York, up in Cooperstown, and picked up Tyler Bertram. Tell us about him.
You know, Tyler can shoot the ball. You know, it's the one thing. He's a high IQ kid. He's you know, he has something he can hang his hat on, which is his ability to shoot. But I'm excited that he's here. You know, he came in, he bypassed his prep year of high school to come in early because he loved our training philosophy, our physical development, you know, coach, and he knew that he could improve more being here, potentially as a redshirt, than he would, you know, as a high school student. So that's really kind of our recruiting foundation for next season, which is great for us.
Ask you about two more guys that will wrap up this portion of the show. That's Trayvon Mangrum and Brandon Younger, a couple of the bigger guys, 6'7", 6'9", mm-hmm. Younger being 6'7". Talk about what they bring.
You know, they bring some length and a level of athleticism that is needed. You know, they both have to, you know, clean up some of those freshman, you know, things that most young guys do. And, you know, right now I'm certain that this is the hardest that they have ever worked as basketball players. So, you know, their bodies are fatigued, and I'm trying to get them to fight through that and continue to compete every day, regardless of how you feel. You have to show up and get the job done. You know, so for those guys, it's new. A lot of this stuff is new. The weightlifting, the shooting, the film, you know, the high demand, you know, the academics, you know, all that stuff is challenging for younger guys. But you know, our philosophy is you're going to be an excuse maker, or you're going to get the job done. Bottom line, you know. So for us is, you know, we don't want to be an excuse making team. We want to be a team that executes through, you know, thick and thin, regardless of what the circumstances are around our program.
Coach, thanks so much. Going to wrap up the first show here today, and. You know, season's right around the corner. We'll be doing this again every Monday coming up soon. Have a great week of practice. We'll see you soon.
Oh, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Head coach Ron Sanchez, our guest. The first part of Gold Mine Live here today. We'll come back and talk with head coach Cara Consuegra, head coach of the women's program, coming up next. This is the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
The Carolinas are family, which is why all of us at Ford Motor Company are committed to helping our family of dealers, customers, all Carolinians, restore their lives. If you've been affected by Hurricane Florence, we're offering you the same pricing as our Ford family of employees. Plus, you won't need to make any payments until next year. Ford family of employee pricing, plus no payments until 2019, helping to get our Carolina families on the road to recovery.
The Student Athlete of the Week, sponsored by Ortho Carolina, the official team physician of your Charlotte 49ers.
This week's Ortho Carolina Student Athlete of the Week is Victor Tucker. Tucker is a redshirt freshman wide receiver on the football team from Miami Gardens, Florida. He's made a huge impact on the Niners offense in his first season. He currently leads the team in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, and he's made some highlight reel catches to energize the 49ers offense. Away from the field, Tucker's a pre-criminal justice major with an impressive 3.14 GPA. Victor Tucker, the Ortho Carolina Student Athlete of the Week.
This has been the Ortho Carolina Student Athlete of the Week, brought to you by Ortho Carolina, the official team physician of your Charlotte 49ers.
All right, welcome back to the Student Union Gold Mine Live. We continue on. Matt Swarad with you, and joined now by the Niners head women's basketball coach, Cara Consuegra, now in her 8th year with the Niners. Coach, good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So 3 days into practice so far, and you're already losing your voice. That's par for the course, though,
That's about right for me, yeah, absolutely. And I have a team that's fun to coach this year, and I still don't have a voice, so I don't know what that says.
Well, they're going to be well prepared. I know that, and you do have a really exciting team coming into the season, and you don't want to look too far ahead, but it's a team that it could be one that has one of the better seasons that you've had so far with your 7 years before here. Coming into the 8th season, and what's that like knowing you have a team that's got a lot of potential?
It's exciting, certainly, coming into this season, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, but we're a little bit ahead because we had the opportunity to play this summer, taking our team to Spain, so we've gotten a really good look at our team, which is different than normally this time of year, of course. So it's exciting, but I think at the same time you have to temper that excitement and stay with kind of our process that, we're just trying to get better every day, and we don't want to look too far ahead. We don't want to start thinking about, what we could be or what we can be. We need to think about how we can grow each and every day. And so that's been our focus as a coaching staff, and I think our team has done a really good job as well, just trying to stay focused on, again, how we can get better every day.
Now, you open up a couple of days after the men on November the 8th at home against UNC Asheville. I asked Coach Sanchez about, how do you break down those 5 weeks starting now going into the opening game? And, same for you. How do you break down those 5 weeks? Do you kind of, take it week by week, or is it, you implement something early and then try to go back to it later?
Well, the truth is, for me, it's very different this year because we've had those 10 practices in July, and that's the first opportunity that I've had to take a team on an international trip as a head coach. So it's really kind of new territory for me, right? Normally this time of year, we're implementing and putting things in and teaching where we're so far ahead. I mean, this week we were doing scouting report defense, which you're usually doing that for me a week or two before we play. So I think just trying to have that balance of, on one hand, you're like, oh, we're so far ahead, we can do this, and this. But you also don't want to do too much and not be good at anything. And so I think we're trying to have a really good balance of taking advantage of the opportunity to be ahead a little bit, but at the same time, we have to stay focused on those fundamentals and the little things that are going to make us a good basketball team in March.
Let's talk a little bit about that trip to Spain. And, you have a senior guard, Laia Raventos, who's been a fantastic player with the 49ers. He had a chance to go back to her home country, play over there, experience that culture, but also get better as a team playing some basketball as a group in the summertime.
It was an incredible experience, and we're so thankful for our administration for giving us the opportunity and the donors for giving us an opportunity to do that. We're the first Charlotte women's basketball team to do that in quite a long time. So we're very thankful for that, first of all. But it was an incredible experience for twofold. One, of course, when you talk about the basketball, right? We got 10 practices prior to going. We had an opportunity to play 3 games. The games were set up well, I thought, in that our first 2 games, the competition was not as strong as maybe I would have liked, but I think for our team, with us having basically 6 new players on the court and a team coming off last year of having great momentum towards the end of the year, I think it was really good for us to kind of get some confidence in terms of what we could be. And then our 3rd game, we played a very, very good team in Barcelona that had several professionals, several national team members, and we competed well with them actually for about 3 quarters. In the 4th quarter, they beat us pretty well. So I think that was a good balance for us, right? We could get some confidence. We could take a look at a lot of different players. We played everybody about even minutes just to take a look, and then kind of knock us back down to earth at the end to say, okay, we still have a lot we need to do.
I was going to just say that because a great way to finish. You love to win them all, but if you're going to lose one, that's the one against really good competition. Say, hey, look, you're close, but there's work to be done.
Right, and so I think that helped our mindset. Again, with our players, after the first 2 games, they felt confident, like, okay, again, we can be good, but there's a danger in thinking that you could be good. You have to, stay humble, and you have to stay focused on the task every day. And again, I think that did that for us. The second part of the trip, of course, was just the opportunity to see a different culture, a different country, to do that in one of our players' home country, in her hometown. I tell everybody I am just extremely blessed to coach this team because we have 13 young ladies that are so thankful for every opportunity, and they were 2 feet into the experience. Everything we, put on the itinerary for them to do, they were excited about doing. They're taking pictures, they're putting it on social media, things that they might not have ever chose to do, like go to an art museum versus get on a catamaran in the Mediterranean, two very different experiences, but they were willing and excited about doing both. And it was just really neat to sit back and observe that and say, wow, we just gave them an experience of a lifetime, and that's ultimately what this should be about.
Yeah, isn't that what college is all about? It's it was an educational experience. You're here to play basketball, of course, but to get an education, and maybe some of these young ladies would never have that opportunity had it not been presented because of basketball.
Absolutely. They maybe never will again. I mean, who knows what could happen in your life. It's not like it's just easy to go over on a 10-day tour to Europe, and so we take that seriously in our program, and we want to build young women. And building young women, you have to do that by giving them different experiences and challenging them to grow maybe in ways that they wouldn't have otherwise. And we certainly did that on this trip.
And it is an extended family being part of athletics, and at the collegiate level, so much time is put in together that it's great when you can find a way to get along, and this is a great team building, bonding kind of thing too. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, 10 straight days of being in a foreign country, obviously, where they're speaking a different language and having to rely on each other. And obviously we had the benefit of having Lio with us, who could do a lot of interpreting and helping us along the way. But it was cool to see her kind of step up and take care of her teammates and show them things and take them to places that she's been before. And it was, like I said, it was just an incredible experience to see that growth, and I think that's helped us. I mean, this team, they get along well. They care about each other. They want each other to do well. We compete very hard in practice, and they compete with a great mindset of making each other better. There's no animosity. There's no, it gets too heated because of competition. I think they really respect each other, and I think you can look back to that trip and say some of that was built there.
And finally, for Laya, what was that like? Because it was a chance to play in front of a family that some probably have never seen her play.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, obviously, I can't speak for her, but I know that she was just so thankful for that opportunity and to be able to go home and, a sense of pride again for her to just be able to show off, where she's from. And on the last day, we actually went to her home, and her parents were generous and generous enough to let us into their home and have a meal for us. And some of her friends were there and her family. And it was just incredible to kind of see that bonding happen and to see her in her element. I mean, who would ever thought we would have an opportunity, to do that? And the last game that we played in Barcelona, she had about 50 friends and family members at the game, and it was a really small arena, so the whole place was packed for her.
That's awesome.
And I actually had one of her uncles came up to me after the game, and he said, thank you for doing this. I haven't seen her play. And I thought, okay, you haven't seen her play in a while. And he goes, no, I've never seen her play before. And I thought, wow, I mean, if we never did this, he may not have ever seen her play. It was just incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Let's take a break on the show, come back, talk about more about this team coming up in 2018-19. It is an exciting version of Niner basketball this year for the women's team, and we'll talk about the individual players outside of Laya coming up in a moment on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
The Carolinas are family, which is why all of us at Ford Motor Company are committed to helping our family of dealers, customers, all Carolinians, restore their lives. If you've been affected by Hurricane Florence, we're offering you the same pricing as our Ford family of employees. Plus, you won't need to make any payments until next year. Ford family of employee pricing, plus no payments until 2019, helping to get our Carolina families on the road to recovery.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live, talking Niner women's basketball with head coach Cara Consuegra, now in her 8th season as the Niners head coach. And coming into this year, the Niners have 7 returning players, 6 newcomers on this 2018-19 roster. And Coach, let's take a moment to talk about a couple of the newcomers that sat out last year. One is a redshirt sophomore, Christian Hythe, who came in from Central Florida, and redshirt junior Jade Phillips from Syracuse. 2 players that really I know you're excited about because they're going to help this team a lot.
I think both of them have an opportunity to come in and be impact players for us. I mean, big-time impact players. Jade is a little bit ahead of Christian right now just because she had the opportunity to practice with us the entire year last year. Christian was here. She sat out, but she had some injury issues that we took care of during her transfer year, so that obviously hopefully nothing affects her moving forward. So, she's catching up quick though, so she's going to be just fine. But I think those two just add incredible amount of depth to our team, both in terms of being a little bit older and having a little bit more experience, but also in terms of their athleticism and skill level. I mean, they are two of the quickest players that we've probably had in a Niners uniform. They love to play defense, which is something we haven't had a whole lot of, honestly. So I think they're going to help us that way. And then just a scoring punch, continue to add to our scoring punch on the offensive end.
I had a chance to meet Jade about a month ago. She's really excited about getting started as a 49er after sitting out last year. She really pushed your girls during practice last year. You saw in practice how talented she is. And we've seen on the men's side where transfers come in from other programs and can elevate a team, and hopefully that'll be the case with Jade.
I think so. I mean, I think the best way to describe it is, early in October last year, we had her working with our teams, right, on the white team, on the green team, rotating her in, and she was so good that we had to start putting her with the practice squad, our male practice squad, early because she was affecting the team so much in a positive way. And I was like, well, she's not playing for us. We can't rely on her to make those shots. We can't rely on her to make those plays. And so we had to kind of transition her to the practice team, which didn't hurt her. I mean, obviously she's still practicing with them, and, she's still in the drills and everything with us. But whenever it came to competition, we had to put her with the guys because she just was so good. And then, there were times during the season when, maybe I was mad at the white team that I didn't feel like they were competing as well with the green team. So I'd pull Jade off the practice squad and put her on the white team. And all of a sudden they'd go score, and just take it right to the green team. So, I mean, she has the ability to change the game.
With that being said, what are some of the things that she does bring to what makes her such a good player?
Well, number one, she's a competitor, and so you're going to put her on the floor, and she wants to win, and she's going to give you every single ounce of effort that she has to win the game. And that sounds like a really simple thing, but you have to have players like that in your program if you want to win any type of championship, and she has that. I think, secondly, she has an edge about her, right? She went to Syracuse. She didn't play for 2 years, and I think coming here, she really has a chip on her shoulder to prove people wrong. And so those are two kind of intangibles about her, I think, that make her great. Skill-wise, she's really versatile. She can shoot the three. She's really fast in transition and can finish well. She's got a mid-range game, and then defensively, she's super quick and athletic and long, and so she can cover ground quickly. And she just has a knack for taking and making tough shots. I mean, and those are things you can develop, but in a way you can't teach. There's just some kids, some players that have an ability to make tough shots, and she can do that, which I think will really help us, because I think that's something we struggled with last year. We didn't really have a player that wanted to take those shots, end of game shots when the game's on the line, and she's a player that's going to want that ball in those situations.
In the post, leading rebounder Dara Pearson is back this year as a junior. Tell us about her improvement from last year to this year. She was a force in the glass last year. Didn't have to use her much offensively, and that may be the case again this year with the experience that you do have, but she does bring a lot to the table. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I'd say first and foremost, Dara is an incredible leader, and she started to really develop that last year, and then I think coming into this year, we've seen that leadership from her just continue to grow. I mean, she's obviously been in the program now for 3 years as a redshirt, going into her 4th year, and understands the standards, understands my expectations as a head coach, and that helps all of us obviously grow and get on the same page. And I do think that she's probably one of the best rebounders in this league. I mean, if you watch our film from the last couple weeks of the season, teams would have 2 people boxing her out, which is pretty incredible. I mean, that doesn't happen a lot, and she was still averaging 10 rebounds a game, I think, in the last 3 weeks of the season. So she's going to continue to bring that force. She's probably our best post defender. Offensively, she's still developing. She's continued to improve her 15-foot jumper, which I think will help her trying to get her, to be able to be a little bit more comfortable handling the ball. So those are things that she's still working on, but because of her incredible leadership and her ability to impact the defensive end and the boards, she's still going to find a lot of time for us.
And we mentioned Leah Raventos being from Spain and going over on that trip this summer, but she's back as a first-team all-conference player last year. great defensive player. Wonderful to have a first-teamer coming back to help with what you got already going on here.
Absolutely. I mean, Laya is one of the best guards in this league, if not the best point guard in this league. I've watched this league grow over the time I've been in it, and I can say that pretty confidently. And so I think just bringing back her leadership, her confidence. I think for her, she really gained a lot of confidence in who she is as an individual. She's always been a team player and a playmaker and helping others and wanting to create for others. And last year, just based on the offensive punch that we lost, we needed her to do more. And it wasn't comfortable for her. It's not natural at all for her to come down and take shots at the beginning of the offense. And she really grew into that role. And I think it helped her, like I said, just gain a lot of confidence in who she is and who she can be. And I think she's excited going into the season knowing that she's got some more weapons around her, so she doesn't always have to be that person, but she also knows she can be that person, and I think that's going to pay off for us in the long run.
Coach, got one last break to take. We'll take it right now. Come back at the Bow Time Challenge to get to, which is what maybe the biggest challenge you guys got coming up going into the opener. And talk about some of the games coming up, too. We got those 4 home games to start the season. That's going to start on the 8th of November against UNC Asheville. Back with more with Coach Consuegra coming up on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
The Carolinas are family, which is why all of us at Ford Motor Company are committed to helping our family of dealers, customers, all Carolinians, restore their lives. If you've been affected by Hurricane Florence, we're offering you the same pricing as our Ford family of employees. Plus, you won't need to make any payments until next year. Ford family of employee pricing, plus no payments until 2019, helping to get our Carolina families on the road to recovery.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live with head coach Cara Consuegra. I'm Matt Swarat. The Niners getting ready for basketball season on both the men and women's side. The men have their first game a couple of days before the women, both at Halton Arena. November 6th, the men take on Chattanooga. November the 8th, the women on a Thursday night take on UNC Asheville. And, Coach, as we look at this season, Conference USA has been a pretty competitive league over the last few years. You guys going in 10-6 last year. Again, another double-figure win season for you in conference play. What do you look at going into this year in terms of the competitiveness of Conference USA?
I think it's going to continue to get high, or be high. I think the bottom teams in the league have done a better job in terms of growing, and they've gotten better. And I think some of the teams in the middle have gotten a little bit better. And so, I mean, that's what you want to see out of your league, especially ours. As we transitioned into it, it wasn't very strong in the bottom and the middle. And so I think that's going to continue to push all of us to keep getting better.
Well, you open up with the 4 straight at home. You got the exhibition game on the 3rd against Chowan, and that's going to be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a Saturday. So you do have that one exhibition. Then you start with Asheville. But you got some home games to start the season to get your feet under you at home. And you've been a very good team at home over the last few years, and hopefully that continues for you guys this year. And a great way to start with Asheville, then Wofford, and a tough Rutgers game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I personally, as a person that does the schedule, I did a better job this year in terms of trying to set us up for some success. I mean, Asheville is a very good team, but so I think they're going to come in and challenge us. But obviously, having them at home, we feel good about that opportunity there, and then to be able to play 2 more right away at home, I think will be good for our team, because I think for us, we need to win a few early, continue kind of that confidence that we had coming off our trip from Spain, and keep that momentum as we start to go onto the road after that.
Well, the Bojangles Challenge, which will be the biggest challenge that you have as a head coach and a coaching staff going into the opener. You got about 5 weeks, so a lot of time to work, but it also goes by really quick. So what do you feel like your biggest challenge is right now to get these girls ready?
I think our biggest challenge, frankly, is we have 13 players on this roster that are all very good and I think can all play. And how do you come up with a rotation of 13? I think that's going to be difficult. And something that I have to figure out how to do, of course. And then I also think as a team, we have to accept that too. I don't know if, there's going to be 5 players that play 40 minutes this year. It's going to be, let's understand that we're deep and we can run some people off the court with our depth, and getting the team to buy into that and figuring how to use everybody, I think, is going to be our biggest challenge.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Good luck with that.
Thanks. Hey, it's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem. Coach, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck this season.
Thanks, Matt.
Talk to you real soon. That's the head coach, Cara Consuegra. I also want to thank Ron Sanchez for joining us. And don't forget, next week, right back here with the football show with Brad Lambert. No football game this week. Homecoming coming up in 2 weeks. Get your tickets at charlotte49ers.com. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us. So long, everybody.